everybody. So welcome. This will be a quick 30-minute class featuring a lot of back bends, a lot of opening up, and we will get a little heat moving in the body and the great muscles. So I invite you to come to your mats and grab what you need. Maybe a block or two would be helpful. And then we'll begin with some breath work as always. We'll begin standing today. So big toes touch, heels apart, finding a nice slight bend in the knees. Hands come to heart center. Just begin to feel the earth beneath your feet. Just travel up the body, scanning. Noticing any areas of tension, maybe raise the shoulders up and down and back. Closing the eyes is optional. Focus on the center of your chest. See if you can notice your heartbeat today. And we're going to take 3 deep cleansing breaths, releasing any tension in the body with every exhale. So inhale deeply. Exhale, sigh it away. Inhale, deep breath. Exhale, release. One more deep breath in. Fill every last space. Exhale. Release every drop of air. And then coming into our Durga Pranayama, our 3-part breath. Inhale, fill the belly. Exhale, let's let that go. Inhale, fill the belly. Feel the ribs expand. Exhale, release, ribs, belly. This time, inhale, belly expands, ribs expand. All the way up to the top of the chest, you feel your collarbones rise. Exhale, release. So breathing in 3 parts and breathing out in 3 parts. Inhaling, consciously filling bottom, middle, top of the lung. Exhale, release. Like a wave coming in and out of the ocean. Top, middle, bottom. Inhale. And exhale. Find your own flow here. This is going to be a few more deep breaths like this. Notice the tension releasing from your shoulders, from your face. If you are clenching any muscles, try to just let that go. Coming back to your awareness in the center of your chest, keeping your 3-part breath. Let's focus on your heartbeat. We're going to focus on the heart chakra this class. Seeing if we can open up. So what does that mean, open up? When we release anything that no longer serves us, when we release any thoughts, any static, negative imagery of our own selves. The things you think you can do and you can't do. Oh, that's not for me. Here's a chance to let that go. Who told you it wasn't for you? If you want to do it, then you do it. We're going to stay open to new possibilities, both on the mat and in our daily lives. So use this next class to explore. Maybe you thought you couldn't do something, but you actually can. Let's take one more of our Dirga Pranayama, our 3-part breath. And then after your exhale, let everything go. Here you can focus on your heart again. Focus on your intention. What is it? A small change? Maybe it's a big one. And we'll send that out to the universe. Taking one moment here at the beginning of your practice for the secret sound of Om, inhaling together. And then letting your hands float down, stepping your feet a little bit apart, so hip width distance apart here. We're going to reach behind us for our first posture in an arm bind. So maybe you can get your palms together, or maybe you just are reaching for both wrists or elbows behind you, some sort of opening here in the chest. Inhale and look up. On the exhale, we're going to take it to either side, just inhaling through center, exhale to the side. Legs remain steady and sturdy, and just the upper body is moving. Contracting the abdominals. Do a few more of these, and then meet at the top. And here we will bend into the knees. So send the hips back, bend into the knees as if you were doing a chair pose. So you can take a peek down at your feet. Make sure you can see your big toes. Again, if the arm bind doesn't feel good, feel free to release that, but we're just playing around here. And then inhale, straighten and fold. Come back through center. Inhale, exhale for chair. Inhale to lengthen, exhale to fold. Inhale, lengthen, exhale for your chair. Good opportunity at the beginning of class to find your breath, find your flow, whatever works for you. We usually exhale on the folds and squeezing out the breath. Let's all meet in our standing posture here, releasing the hands. Inhale, looking up. On the exhale, folding forward. This time taking a more active fold. Maybe that means grabbing for the ankles, shins, or big toes. And our Uttanasana, our forward fold. Noticing if the weight is going back. Let's send it forward into the toes a little, tucking the chin. And trying to get the forehead closer to the shin. So take a little slight bend in the knees, don't hyperextend. Elbows out to the side, shoulders away from the ears. A few deep breaths here. Rolling the weight forward, just a smidge. And then planting the hands in front of you, step back into your three-legged dog. So we're going to take a little motion here. So sliding into plank, dog, and then plank. Now it's okay to bend the knees, you know. If you have tight hamstrings, keep a little bend there. Next time we're in plank, we're going to hover here a few seconds, taking the time to tuck the belly button in, lift the hips, and then slowly, slowly letting your body come all the way down. Hug the elbows in. And sliding up for Cobra. If Cobra doesn't feel good, feel free to put the forearms on the mat for Sphinx. So we're working into the back bends today. So we're either in Sphinx or a Cobra. And then release everything all the way down. Grabbing for one leg. Let's make it the left leg. Let the right cheek come to the mat. We're just pulling a little bit so we can feel some release in the anterior part of your thigh, your quads, these great muscles. And then switch cheeks and grab the other foot. Hands come back under the shoulders, tucking the toes. We're going to lift up into our downward dog, coming first through table, and then through downward facing dog. Let's open up, bringing the right foot to the sky. So we're going to keep our hips facing the front of the mat pretty much for the whole class. And then sliding into plank, tucking the knee all the way up as if you want to touch your chin with your knee. Coming back up. Slide in, hover, come all the way back. And then just keep this movement going. Getting the blood flowing, keeping your inhales and exhales through your nose whenever possible. If it gets too much, then slow down. Let's do one more. Land in our three-legged dog. Look to the top of the mat. We're going to place that right foot at the top of the mat. And then we're going to look at our feet. Make sure they're in two separate lines so our hips can stay square to the front. And then when you're ready, drop the back heel, straighten the front leg. And you find yourself in your pyramid pose here. So just take a moment adjusting anything that might be bothering you. Notice that your hips are square to the front. And we're still in our forward fold. And then we're just going to take some movement here. Maybe bend into the knee and come back. Bend into the front right knee, come back. See what feels good. If the fingertips are not touching, always feel free to use a block. It's good to have a block handy. Then we're going to send all the way into the front bent right leg. Fingertips are touching the mat or the block. And slowly, slowly, all the weight comes into the front leg. We're going to lift that back leg off the mat. Noticing that the hips are still in the same line. So if you were to put your foot down, your hips are still facing forward. We're not opening up to the side. That can be detrimental in this ball and socket joint. So just staying in line with the front of your mat, working on your balance, and working on getting your chest a little higher. using your core, using the strength in your leg. And then let it go. Bring the left foot back. Right foot comes back for your downward facing dog. Again, just sliding in through plank into dog. Notice how the two hips feel a little bit different maybe. And then send the left leg up for your three-legged dog. Again, hips square to the front. And then tuck it in, hover, send it up. Tuck and up. Well, let's do one more. Everybody meeting in our three-legged dog. Look to the top. Send left foot forward. Look at the feet. Two different tracks. Drop the right back heel. And we find ourselves in our pyramid pose again. Stay in the fold. And in pyramid, if that right hip pulled back, you want to send it forward so both hips are in line with the front of your mat. It's oftentimes the right hip kind of pulls back. That's normal. And here's a good chance to discover that hip alignment by just taking some movement here. When you're ready, you're going to send all the weight into this front left leg. Fingertips on the mat or block. Right leg comes up. And we're just kind of balancing on the fingertips. Notice if the hip has rolled out a little, sending the front of your hip down towards the mat. You can flex the back foot to help you with this. So the toes are pointing down and the heels are up. Lift into the chest. One more deep breath. Let it go. Right foot comes back. Left foot comes back. Send it into downward dog. Slide, plank. Good. Just get the flow, get the blood flowing. Focus on your heartbeat. Let's hover right here in plank. A few deep breaths. Hips up, belly tucked in, shoulders are strong. And then we're going to slowly come down to the mat. Pushing up for your cobra. Coming all the way back. This time we're setting up for our locust pose, Salambhasana. This is a great pose to strengthen every muscle in your back. So a few different ways to do locust. Today we're going to open up the chest. So if possible, maybe taking that arm bind we had in the beginning, opening up. So lifting the chest off the mat and the head. If it feels good, feet are going to come up as well. So it's option to keep the hands out or even plant the backs of the hands. Either way, the back is getting the workout. So it's up to you. A few more deep breaths. Feel as if with every inhale you can lift just a little bit more. And then release. Hands come up to
frame your face, just turn your cheek to one side, windshield wiper. Salambasana is a great pose to strengthen the back. It's also a back bend. Very strong back bend to really help your core. A lot of times core, we think about our abdomen, but the core is the whole thing around, like the tree trunk. So you have to work out your back as well as your abdomen. Okay, so it's such a great pose that we're going to do it twice, so we can really feel it in the body. So you're going to take your first pose that you did, or you can choose to use Dhanurasana or bow pose if that's in your practice. If you have lower back injury, please stay with the first locust pose. So inhale, chest comes up, feet come up. If you're going for bow, you're gonna reach your hands to the outside of the ankle, squeeze the knees together, and try and get the upper thighs off the mat. One more deep breath. Let everything go. Hands come up to frame. And the other cheek comes down this time. Just windshield wiper, releasing anything that comes up for you. Any stale thoughts. And when you're ready, you're slowly pushing yourself up here. Hands come under the shoulders. Push the weight onto the knees. And come all the way back into either a child's pose with the arms stretched out, or option to take here a puppy pose, stretching the arms out, letting the forehead come down. Hips are just over the knees. And then slowly we're going to come back into our table. From table, open up the left leg and just create circles here, fire hydrants. So you're getting the blood flowing in the hip, and you're working out all the fine muscles in that hip joint. Let's go the other way. Again, hips are facing the front of the mat. And then we're going to send that foot next to the left hand on the outside, the pinky side. So hands can move over to make room, and foot comes up. Here's a good place for your blocks. So we find ourselves in this lizard pose here. Ankle and knee are stacked. Option to use the block or hands to the mat. And we're just going to come back and forth. So half Hanumasana to lizard. Try to keep the hips straight forward. We're not going to bow this leg out today. Toes are facing the front. And the next time we're back, we're going to explore the half split. So hands are going to come to either side of the leg, framing the leg. Options for blocks. Maybe send the back knee out a little further, send the front heel up a little further. We're exploring splits today. Notice if the right hip is pulling back again, send it forward. So shoulders forward, hips forward. If you feel like you're almost there and you want to slide a block under just to see how that feels, get that groundedness. Remember, we're just starting in half Hanumasana and we're playing. Opening up. A few more deep breaths. And then a few ways to get out here. So if you feel like you're stuck here, an easy thing to do, just roll onto the hip. Send the other leg forward. That's the easiest way out. And we'll all meet here with our legs facing forward. Coming into our Paschimottanasana, Western facing pose. On the inhale, reach, lift, and lengthen. On the exhale, reach forward for the toes or ankles or shin. Inhale to lift and lengthen. Your chest is aiming for your toes here. Exhale to fold. With every inhale, you're pulling shoulders down and back. With every exhale, you're folding a little bit deeper. You may feel this in the hamstrings and want to bend a little bit. That's totally fine. Lengthening the spine, all the places in between our vertebrae. Just feeling that. Let's take the breath and move it up and down through the spine for a few deep breaths. If you want a little bit more in this posture, send the heels away from you. So just slightly sending them away, maybe even putting a block here. And then slowly coming up. We're going to come all the way back onto our backs, hugging knees to chest. Maybe rock back and forth, release that lower back. So we're going to come up into our seat, either two ways. Either you're going to rock onto one hip and find your way into tabletop, or you're going to roll all the way up over your crossed legs. Find yourself in table. And here we move to the other side. So right hip, right knee comes out to the side for the fire hydrant. And then take it to the other side, rotating in both directions. Then you're going to shift your hands over to the left. Allow room for the right foot. And find yourself in that lizard stretch. So taking the time here, moving back and forth. Hips facing forward. And when you feel ready, you're going to send the front foot out to the heel. Send the back leg. Just kind of use your toes here. Go slow. So you're exploring your half split or your full split today. Option to put the block under the hip. See if you could get a little lower. Remembering this hip, we want facing forward. Let's take a few more deep breaths here. You need to allow enough time for the plastic tissues of the body, your tendons, your ligaments, your cartilage to open and remember okay, when you're ready, you can either roll out onto the right, send the left leg forward, and we're coming into our Janu Shirshasana, or head to knee pose. Take the right leg into the inner thigh. Everything faces left straight leg. Inhale up, exhale, reach for the foot, tuck the chin. And we're trying to get the forehead a little closer to the knee. So if it's not touching today, block. Maybe block under knee. We'd like to get that connection. Few deep breaths. Inhale to lift, lengthen. Let's come all the way up. Send the right leg over the left. Inhale, arms come up. On the exhale, send right hand behind you. Left elbow comes onto the knee. Gazing behind your shoulder. Squeezing your belly in. Notice both hips are grounded into the mat. Coming back up, unravel. Take a counter pose here. Hands come to the left hip side. Just to unravel. Let the leg straighten and the left leg comes in. For Janu Shirshasana, arms up, tuck chin, reach. Use that prop if you need. Your chest is rotating towards your right thigh. So we're not up like this. Both shoulders down, away from your ears. One more breath here. Then inhale to rise. Send the left leg over the right. Both hips are grounded. Inhale, arms up. On the exhale, left hand comes behind you. Right hand on the knee. Both hips are grounded. Returning, we're looking to where we want the body to go. And then we unravel for our counter pose. Hands come by the right hip and sitting all the way up. We're going to tuck the feet to one side, come over into table. And from table here, we're moving into a pretty intense back bend called camel. So coming up to the knees, we can see that there's about hip width distance between the knees. Maybe send a block in there just to test. The tops of your feet are flat, and I like to keep the blocks back here in case I need them. First things first with camel, you're not going to look while you're in the pose. So if you need to look, probably just notice now. Fingertips on the small of the back, you're going to lift, chest comes up. Feel the glutes tighten, your legs are engaged. You're just looking up. And if you see the back wall, maybe reach for your blocks. Maybe even the heels. Still keeping the glutes tight, squeezing. And then coming up, hands to hips. We're going to sit on the heels for hero's pose. Close the eyes, hands on your lap. Forget everything else. the deep back bend sink in. Focus on your heartbeat, the center of your chest. 3-part breath. One more deep breath in. And then slowly folding over your knees. Your forehead comes to your knees if possible. We're trying to get the crown of the head onto the mat for our rabbit pose. So rabbit is an inversion. We're going to hold the back of the heels. This is Sasangasana or rabbit pose. So everything's squeezed together, your lower legs. Tucking your chin. Forehead comes down by the knees. Crown of your head to the mat. And just start to lift the hips. Hold on to the heels. Feel the back round. Few deep breaths. Exhale, let the seat come down. Stretch your arms out in front of you for a more relaxed child's pose. Option to take the legs wide, let the belly come in between. And taking 10 deep breaths here in your child's pose. Focusing on your heart, feeling the ground beneath your hands. Feel that connection to earth. And going back to your intention. What was that intention that you said at the beginning of class? Was it to stay more open? As you open your body and free your blockages, both physical and both emotional, you allow yourself to be able to accept new and positive influences in your life. Maybe that's a book or a new podcast or a new show that you're watching. Just allow yourself to be open to these possibilities. You are capable of anything. Whoever told you you were not didn't have your best interest in mind when they said that. Or maybe you misunderstood them. So now's the time to let that be in the past. Tell yourself, I'm ready, I'm capable, I'm open to greater possibilities. Take a few more deep breaths here in your child's pose. And take your time getting up. It was wonderful leading you today. I hope you come back for more classes and chats and all of that other fun stuff. Thank you so much. Namaste.